Every addiction begins innocently. A small dose, a habit that seems harmless, a choice that lightens the weight of the day. Over time, what was once an option becomes a necessity. That necessity turns into dependency. And once dependency takes hold, it's no longer us controlling the habit. It's the habit that controls us. When we think of addiction, we immediately picture substances, visible excesses, self-destructive behaviors. But there's an addiction far more subtle, socially accepted and even celebrated as an achievement: the addiction to comfort. This was the danger Aldous Huxley tried to show us. He didn't talk about violent oppression, but about a golden prison where people don't need to be forced into obedience because they willingly accept servitude in exchange for ease and pleasure. Our society has turned comfort into the ultimate goal of human existence. From childhood, we're taught that a good life is an easy life. Success became synonymous with not having to try. Progress means eliminating every form of difficulty. And happiness, well, happiness has become having access to everything we want without ever leaving the couch. This mindset didn't appear out of nowhere. It was carefully cultivated over decades. Companies discovered that selling convenience is extremely profitable. Politicians realized that promising comfort gets more votes than promising challenges, of course. And we, as a society, embrace this idea with enthusiasm. The result: an entire generation that associates any form of effort with failure. People who believe that if something is difficult, it must be wrong. A culture that sees discomfort as an enemy to be eliminated at any cost. But Huxley knew something we've forgotten. Too much comfort doesn't set us free. It traps us in ways we don't even notice. And that's exactly what's happening to us now. Huxley revealed something that shocks many people. Comfort can be used as a tool of control. In Brave New World, he shows a society where no one needs to be forced to obey. People do it voluntarily because the system offers pleasure and ease in exchange for freedom. There's no need for violence when you can give people exactly what they think they want. Why would anyone rebel against a system that offers endless entertainment, effortless food, and instant solutions to every problem? This kind of control is far more effective than any traditional dictatorship. Dictators use fear and pain to keep people in line, but fear breeds resistance. Pain sparks revolt. Comfort, on the other hand, breeds dependence. And dependent people don't fight the system. They beg for more of it. Think about how it works today. You're not forced to spend hours on your phone, but the platforms are so comfortable, so easy to use that you do it without even thinking. No one makes you buy things you don't need. But everything is so convenient, so accessible that you buy them anyway. The genius of it all is that you feel in control. After all, you're choosing. You're doing what you want. You're free. But are you really? Or are you just choosing between options someone designed for you to choose from? Friedrich Nietzsche, long before Huxley, had already warned about this. He spoke of the last man, a type of person who only seeks safety, routine, and the smallest possible dose of pleasure. Someone who avoids any risk, any challenge, anything that might bring discomfort. For nature, this person represents the total decay of humanity. They create nothing new. They don't push boundaries. They don't risk themselves in great projects. They live a lukewarm, mediocre but safe existence. And the worst part, they believe that this is a good life. Huxley took that idea and showed how an entire society could be engineered to produce exactly this kind of person. When the system offers total security in exchange for total conformity, who will choose the insecurity of freedom? Nature's last man is the perfect citizen for Huxley's world. They don't question, they don't resist, they don't dream of anything different. They simply consume what is offered to them and feel grateful that they can do it so comfortably. And the most frightening part is that this person doesn't see themselves as a victim. They see themselves as lucky. After all, they live in the most comfortable world in history. They have access to more entertainment, more food, more options than any previous generation. How could that possibly be bad? Here's the cruelest trick of comfort. It works like anesthesia. Small doses of pleasure applied constantly keep you asleep while your life slips away. You don't feel pain, so you assume you're fine, but you don't really feel anything at all anymore. Think about your daily distractions: a show to relax, an online purchase to feel better, a delivery meal so you don't have to cook, social media to fill every second of boredom. Each of these things is harmless on its own, but together they create a constant state of mild anesthesia. You're never really sad, but you're never really happy either. You're never truly anxious, but you're never truly excited. You live in a lukewarm, comfortable zone where nothing truly matters and nothing truly happens. This anesthesia is so subtle that you don't even realize you're asleep. Unlike heavy drugs which leave obvious marks of destruction, this kind of numbness is clean, socially accepted, even encouraged. The problem is that when you're anesthetized, you can't feel that something is wrong. You can't notice opportunities slipping away. You can't hear the call for something greater. You live under the false impression that everything is fine when in truth nothing is really happening. Zygmunt Bauman, a modern sociologist, perfectly described how this anesthesia works in today's world. He spoke of liquid modernity, a world where everything has become fluid, temporary, disposable, even comfort itself. In liquid society, even comfort has turned into a consumer product. You don't achieve a lasting state of well-being. Instead, you buy temporary moments of relief, a new purchase, a new app, a new experience. Each one promises to be the final solution, but all of them come with an expiration date. This creates an endless cycle of consuming comfort. You're never truly satisfied because satisfaction always slips away. There's always a new version, a new update, a new promise of even greater ease. And you chase after each one of these promises, believing the next will be different. Bauman realized that this liquidity isn't accidental. It's the perfect model to keep people trapped in an eternal system of consumption. If things were solid and lasting, you'd buy once and be done. But if everything is temporary, you have to keep buying. Liquid comfort is even more addictive than solid comfort because it never truly satisfies. It always leaves you wanting more. And this constant hunger for more comfort is exactly what keeps the system alive. The genius of this system is that it transforms your pursuit of well-being into a prison. You think you're taking care of yourself, but you're only feeding a machine that needs your constant consumption to survive. There's something even more dangerous than the anesthesia of pleasure: the prison of safety. When you eliminate all risks from life, you also eliminate all possibilities. You're stuck in a predictable existence where nothing truly new can ever happen. Think about how many decisions you don't make because you're afraid of discomfort. How many projects you never start because they might fail. How many conversations you avoid because they might be difficult. How many opportunities you miss because they demand stepping out of your comfort zone. Excessive stability creates a life that is technically safe, but practically dead. You don't risk failure, but you never get the chance to fly. You don't suffer major disappointments, but you never experience great joys either. This prison is invisible because it's golden. Its bars are made of convenience, not iron. The cell is decorated with comforts, not painted gray, but the result is the same. You're locked into a life that isn't really yours. The most tragic part is that many people spend their entire lives in this prison without ever trying to escape. They accept stability as if it were the only possible option. They forget that life has always been uncertain, and that it's precisely this uncertainty that makes it interesting. True freedom doesn't come from eliminating all risks. It comes from the ability to face uncertainty with courage. But a society addicted to comfort produces people who lost that ability long ago. Excessive comfort doesn't just limit your actions, it kills your vital energy. When everything is easy, you stop making an effort. When you don't have to fight for anything, you lose the will to fight. When all your needs are met without struggle, you stop feeling real needs at all. This apathy doesn't happen overnight, it's a gradual process. First, you stop putting effort into small things. Why cook if you can order delivery? Why walk if you can drive? Why read a book if you can watch a summary? Each small choice for the easier path weakens your ability to put in effort. Like a muscle that isn't used, your willpower atrophies. Your resilience fades. Your willingness to face challenges disappears. Over time, you become incapable of handling even the smallest difficulties. A slow internet connection feels unbearable. A line at the bank becomes a personal tragedy. A conflict at work becomes an existential crisis. You've lost the ability to endure life's normal discomforts. But the worst part isn't losing the ability to act. it's losing the will to act. When everything comes easily, nothing feels worthwhile. When there are no obstacles to overcome, there's no sense of achievement. When there's no effort, there's no real satisfaction. The apathy of comfort is different from ordinary laziness. Laziness is not wanting to do a specific thing. Apathy is not wanting to do anything. It's a widespread loss of interest in life disguised as contentment with what you have. One of the most effective strategies of excessive comfort is keeping you constantly distracted. When your mind is always occupied with external stimuli, you never have time to look inward and question whether you're truly satisfied with your life. Think about how hard it is today to sit in total silence for just 5 minutes. No music, no phone, no TV, nothing to occupy your attention. For many people, this experience is almost unbearable. Silence reveals the emptiness that constant noise hides. This fear of silence isn't natural. It's cultivated because in silence you can hear your true desires. You might realize you're not actually happy. You might feel that you're wasting time. You might discover you want something different than what you have. Constant distractions prevent this encounter with yourself. They keep you focused on external, superficial, temporary things. They create the illusion that your life is full when in reality it's only busy. Endless entertainment isn't real entertainment. It's a sophisticated way of avoiding real life. Every show you watch is one less hour spent thinking about your dreams. Every scroll on social media is one less minute spent planning your future. But the distraction system is so well designed that you don't notice what you're missing. You're always busy, always consuming content, always keeping up. You feel like you're living intensely when in reality you're only avoiding living. George Orwell and Aldous Huxley had different visions of how future societies would be controlled. Orwell imagined control through pain and fear. Huxley imagined control through pleasure and comfort. History has shown that Huxley was closer to the truth. In 1984, Orwell describes a world where people are constantly watched and punished. Any different thought is brutally repressed. Fear is the main tool of control. It's a classic dictatorship, violent and obvious. Huxley in Brave New World shows something much more subtle. People aren't punished for thinking differently. They simply don't want to think differently. The system offers so much pleasure and comfort that rebellion becomes unthinkable. The difference is crucial. In Orwell's world, you know you're oppressed. You can dream of freedom, plan an escape, nurture hope for change. In Huxley's world, you believe you're already free. After all, you have access to everything you want. Why would you change anything? Control through comfort is more effective because it's invisible. People don't fight against it because they don't see it as oppression. They see it as a benefit. They fight to preserve the very system that imprisons them, not to destroy it. Today, we live much closer to Huxley's world than Orwell's. We're not controlled by fear, but by comfort. We're not punished for disagreeing, but rewarded for agreeing. And those rewards are so tempting that few can resist them. A society obsessed with comfort produces extremely fragile individuals. When you never face difficulties, you never build resilience. When every problem is solved by someone else, you never learn how to solve your own. This fragility shows up in many ways. People panic at any change in routine. Individuals can't handle constructive criticism. Generations see any form of effort as unfair. Fragility isn't just individual, it's collective. A society of fragile people is a fragile society. When a real crisis strikes, a pandemic, a recession, a war, that society has no inner resources to cope. The problem is that real life isn't comfortable. Illness happens, relationships end, jobs are lost, people die. A society that teaches its members to avoid any discomfort is preparing them to fail when discomfort becomes unavoidable. Fragility also creates more dependence on the comfort system. The weaker you become, the more you need external protection. The more external protection you need, the more willing you are to give up autonomy in exchange for it. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. Fragility breeds dependence, which breeds more fragility, which breeds more dependence. In the end, you become completely incapable of existing outside the very system that promised to protect you from all discomfort. Eric, from psychologist and philosopher, recognized something fundamental about human nature. Many people are afraid of freedom. Freedom requires responsibility, hard choices, and the possibility of mistakes. For many, it's easier to give up autonomy in exchange for safety. From called this, the escape from freedom. When life becomes too complex or uncertain, people voluntarily hand over their capacity to choose to systems that promise to take care of everything for them. Modern comfort is the perfect bait for this escape. It offers exactly what from identified people crave: the illusion of choice without the real responsibility of consequences. You can choose from 1,000 kinds of entertainment, but you don't have to choose what to do with your life. This pseudo-freedom is even more dangerous than open oppression, because you believe you're in control, when in reality your choices are being carefully directed. You can choose any flavor of ice cream, but you can't choose to question whether you should be eating ice cream at all. The dependency created by comfort is emotional and psychological. You don't just rely on products and services. You rely on the feeling that someone is taking care of you. You rely on the illusion that you're protected from all of life's risks. Once that dependency is established, the idea of true autonomy becomes frightening. You prefer the safety of being cared for over the uncertainty of caring for yourself. And that preference is exactly what keeps the system of control through comfort running perfectly. Every comfort has a price, but that price is almost always hidden. You see the immediate convenience, but not the long-term consequences. You see the obvious benefit, but not the subtle cost. Delivery is convenient, but it robs you of the experience of cooking and the satisfaction of creating something with your own hands. Social media connects you to people, but disconnects you from the present moment. Endless entertainment fills your free time, but drains your ability to find meaning in simple activities. Every convenience you accept creates a small dependency. Every problem solved for you is a skill you don't develop. Every effort you avoid is an opportunity for growth you lose. The most dangerous part is that these costs pile up almost imperceptibly. You don't realize you're losing something because the loss happens gradually. One day you wake up and realize you no longer know how to do basic things your grandparents did naturally. Dependence on easy comfort creates vicious cycles. The more you use conveniences, the more you need them. The more you avoid effort, the harder any effort becomes. The more you outsource your responsibilities, the less capable you become of taking responsibility at all. And the system is designed to intensify this dependence. Every new convenience is presented as evolution and progress. Those who question it are seen as backward. Those who resist are considered strange. Social pressure pushes you to accept more and more ease, even when you feel deep down that something isn't right. There's a particular kind of boredom that only excessive comfort can create. It's different from ordinary boredom, which comes from lack of activity. It's the boredom that comes from an excess of empty activity, when you have access to everything but nothing really matters. This kind of boredom is disguised as well-being. You're always busy, always consuming something, always having fun. But beneath all that activity lies a deep emptiness, a sense that nothing you do carries real meaning. The boredom of comfort is especially cruel because it comes with guilt. After all, you have everything anyone could want. You shouldn't feel empty. You shouldn't feel dissatisfied. The problem must be you, not your circumstances. This guilt prevents you from recognizing that boredom can be an important signal. It can be your mind telling you that you need real challenges, not distractions. It can be your body asking for true effort, not passive entertainment. When everything is too easy, nothing feels worthwhile. When there are no obstacles to overcome, there's no sense of achievement. When there's no risk of failure, there's also no joy in success. Excessive comfort eliminates the highs and lows that give life its flavor. The result is a flat existence without peaks of emotion, without moments of true fulfillment. You live on an emotional straight line that never rises very high but never drops very low either. And that emotional stability, which should be good, becomes a prison of mediocrity. Here's a truth that may be uncomfortable. All of humanity's greatest creations, discoveries, and changes were born from discomfort. When someone was dissatisfied with the current situation and decided to do something different. Necessity really is the mother of invention. When you don't have a problem to solve, you don't create solutions. When there's no limit to surpass, you don't develop new abilities. When there's no pressure for change, you don't change. Think about the greatest advances in history. Medicine advanced because people were dying of disease. Technology evolved because tasks were too hard. Art flourished because artists wanted to express something that didn't yet exist. All real progress requires someone willing to leave their comfort zone and face the unknown. It requires people who prefer the uncertainty of the new over the safety of the familiar. It requires individuals who choose the discomfort of creation over the comfort of consumption. A society that becomes too comfortable stops evolving, stops creating, stops discovering. It settles for what it has and loses curiosity about what it could have. It trades the possibility of greatness for the guarantee of mediocrity. This doesn't mean that all comfort is bad. It means that too much comfort can be fatal for human development. Life needs balance between safety and challenge, between stability and change, between comfort and growth. Returning to Bauman, liquid modernity created a particular type of fragility. When everything is temporary and disposable, nothing has enough solidity to provide real support. You live in constant instability, disguised as flexibility. In liquid society, even human relationships have become disposable. Friendships are replaced by social media connections. Deep relationships are traded for casual encounters. Long-term commitments are seen as unnecessary limitations. This general liquidity creates a constant sense of insecurity. You may have access to plenty of comfort, but you can't be sure of anything. You may enjoy many conveniences, but you can't trust they'll still be there tomorrow. The result is a particular kind of anxiety, the anxiety of temporary abundance. You know you have a lot right now, but you don't know for how long. This constant uncertainty undermines the sense of safety that comfort is supposed to provide. The fragility of liquid modernity is that it promises stability through constant change. But constant change is the opposite of stability. It's a paradox that creates more anxiety than any traditional dictatorship ever could. In the end, liquid modernity offers the worst possible combination. All the dependence on comfort with none of the real security. You lose your autonomy, but you don't gain true protection. You're trapped in a system that can disappear at any moment. The most shocking reality about modern comfort is that it works as a new form of slavery. There are no visible chains, no armed guards, no forced labor camps. But there is something far more effective: psychological chains that you put on yourself and even defend. This slavery is voluntary. You choose to become dependent on systems that control your life. You choose to give up skills in exchange for convenience. You choose to trade autonomy for ease. And the cruelest part, you're grateful for being able to make those choices. Psychological chains are much stronger than physical ones. Physical chains you can try to break. Psychological chains you don't even notice exist. You see them as a natural part of life, as benefits you should be thankful for. The modern slave doesn't dream of freedom because they don't see themselves as a slave. They see themselves as a satisfied consumer. They don't plan to escape because they don't want to escape. They want more of the same: more comfort, more convenience, more ease. This form of slavery is perfect for the system because it renews itself. The slave works to maintain the system that imprisons them. They buy the products that deepen their dependence. They defend the conveniences that limit their autonomy. And when someone suggests that maybe it's possible to live differently, the slave of comfort reacts with hostility. Because questioning the system means questioning all the choices they've made. It means admitting they may have traded something valuable for cheap illusions. So how do we break this cycle? How do we recover vitality in a society addicted to ease? The answer begins with a decision that may sound absurd: deliberately choosing the harder path. This doesn't mean seeking pointless suffering or creating unnecessary difficulties. It means rediscovering that effort has its own value, that the struggle can be more satisfying than the easy victory, that the process can matter more than the result. Start small. Cook a meal instead of ordering delivery. Walk instead of driving. Read a book instead of watching a summary. Have the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Each small choice for discomfort rebuilds your ability to face challenges. The courage to choose discomfort isn't masochism. It's self-preservation. It's the refusal to become so fragile that any difficulty becomes a tragedy. It's the decision to keep your capacity for adaptation, growth, and change. This courage also means constantly asking, am I choosing this because it's truly better, or just because it's easier? The question may be uncomfortable, but an honest answer can change your life. Recovering vitality means accepting that life isn't supposed to be easy all the time. That occasional discomfort is the price of authenticity. That some efforts are worth it, even when no one is watching or applauding. The final step, and perhaps the most important, is to actively resist the addiction to ease. To recognize that in a society offering infinite conveniences, resistance itself becomes a revolutionary act. Resisting doesn't mean rejecting all technology or living like a hermit. It means consciously choosing when to accept conveniences and when to prefer effort. It means using technology as a tool, not as a crutch. True resistance lies in refusing the mindset that easier is always better. It's in valuing processes, not just results. It's in finding satisfaction in the very act of doing things, not only in having them done. This resistance rebuilds your capacity to endure life with authenticity. It restores meaning to your actions. It reconnects effort and reward in a way that excessive comfort had broken. Resisting the addiction to ease also means resisting infantilization. It's refusing to be treated like a child who needs everything to be simple and safe. It's affirming your adult capacity to handle complexity, uncertainty, and challenge. In the end, waking up from Huxley's comfortable dream requires courage to live a life that is less convenient, but far more real. It requires accepting that true happiness may be harder to achieve than temporary satisfaction, but it is also far more lasting and meaningful. Pleasure isn't the problem. Comfort by itself isn't either. It can be a gift of modern life, a well-deserved break, a necessary relief in the middle of chaos. What destroys is not use, it's abuse. Not the presence of comfort, but dependence on it. When pleasure becomes an addiction, it ceases to be freedom and becomes a prison. When comfort becomes indispensable, it stops being a choice and turns into a chain. The question isn't about eliminating modern conveniences, but about reclaiming our ability to live without depending on them. The real challenge is not letting yourself be lulled to sleep by the anesthesia of ease. It's choosing every now and then the harder path. Because it's in discomfort that we grow, in effort that we discover ourselves, and in struggle that we find meaning. Pleasure can be an ally, comfort can be a blessing, but only when you remain their master, and not when they become masters over you. If this video made you question your own relationship with comfort, you've already taken the first step toward freedom. Don't let this reflection end here. Subscribe to the channel to keep exploring ideas that can transform the way you see the world. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Sometimes all we need is someone to show us that another path is possible. Leave a like if you had the courage to make it to the end of this uncomfortable but necessary journey.